Hello everybody, welcome to a mini episode of What Makes It Great, an AMV analysis series where we take a look at a great AMV and then talk about what it is that makes that video great. Today, like I said, it's a mini episode, so this isn't going to be a full scene by scene breakdown like you might be used to. Rather, we're going to watch the video together like normal, and then I'm just going to come back and give a few remarks on some of the things I especially like about the video, but not going to go through it in the excruciating detail that this series is kind of known for. This is a new format I'm trying. It's not going to replace the long form breakdowns because I really like doing those, and I think that there are a lot of great videos that deserve a really detailed breakdown. But I also think there are some great videos that I would love to share on this channel and talk about, but that where the editing and the techniques used either don't warrant a whole lot of in-depth discussion, or there just aren't enough of them to justify going through scene by scene. To kick off this kind of new format I'm trying, I couldn't think of a better editor to do this with than one of my one of my favorite editors from recent years, named TruthCrab. If you have read my blog or you know anything about me, you know that I am just a huge fan of this guy, and his videos tend to be extremely simple. There are a few videos here and there where he's used some really basic effects. But I would say 90 to 95% of his work is completely effectsless, and it's nothing but hard cuts, sometimes crossfades, and not a lot else. And I mean, while we have looked at several videos in this series that are like that in the sense that they're very simple videos from an effects standpoint or a technical standpoint, TruthCrab's videos are a little unique in that he uses, I want to say his method of syncing and of scene selection is a lot more sparse than most editors would typically do. And you'll see what I mean. I would recommend also checking out some of his other work besides the video we're about to watch, which is called Dreamer. Because yeah, his work is very, very unique. Despite being simple, it's very unique, and there's a lot of really interesting things that he does that are worth looking into on your own. If you like this, I am also going to plug, in the next week or so, I will be releasing an interview that I am having with this editor. I haven't had it yet, but it is scheduled for me to have in the next week. As of the time of this recording, and I wanted to kind of prep you for that by showing one of his videos and talking about it on What Makes It Great. So we'll come back. I will have plenty of comments on this, but as I think you'll see, it wouldn't really make sense to do kind of a scene by scene breakdown just because of the way he edits, and I'll talk about that more when we come back. So this video is called Dreamer. It's a Bakemonogatari video, and it's by the editor TruthCrab. So let's watch this together, and then we will talk about what makes it great. So as you could probably tell, this video wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense to kind of do a scene-by-scene breakdown of, just because there wasn't a whole lot to it in the editing department. And this is very typical of Truth Crab. Not always. He does have plenty of videos that are a lot more edited than this. And this is actually kind of, I would even say, is more like in the middle. He has a lot of stuff that's even more lightly edited than this one is too. But not a whole lot to talk about in terms of technique or certainly no effects to speak of, right? Very, very simple, basic video. However, there's a lot going on in this video that I think is really cool. So the first thing is the mood of the video, which is just, he kind of just hits it out of the park. And this is one of the things I feel that Truth Crab is best at. He somehow manages to, most of the time, identify these sources and identify the exact correct song to represent whatever it is he's trying to, whatever scenes he wants to use in his videos. And to me, this video is like spot on with that. I love the way that, I mean, if you have seen any number of Bakemonogatari videos, you know that this source has been used in tons of different ways. I mean, you could probably choose any genre of video, and there's a Bakemonogatari video that is successfully done within that genre. This particular video uses a bunch of scenes that I don't think I've ever seen before in another Bakemonogatari video. I could be wrong about that, because a lot of them are the kinds of scenes where in any other video they would just be kind of filler scenes. But I don't know. As I was rewatching this video in preparation for making this episode of What Makes It Great, I was struck by how few of those scenes I feel like I've seen before. But it's really interesting to me because Truth Crab takes these scenes, which are, for the most part, they're just totally innocuous scenes, shots of the suburb in which the anime takes place, just of, you know, empty streets or houses or you know, light poles, or, you know, just these really innocuous things, and he basically builds this completely dreamy setting around them. And I say dreamy because Bakemonogatari has a really interesting art style, and it's one of the reasons it's such a popular source for AMVs. Like, all the Monogatari anime are just AMV fodder, because from a visual standpoint they're so striking and unique. Bakemonogatari definitely falls in this camp, and one of the things that I love about, I've never actually seen the series, first of all, but one of the things I love about it from a visual standpoint is the way that, like, the backgrounds and the settings tend to be rendered in this, like, almost too plain 3D generated way. It almost looks like it's like way too basic, but then if you look a little closer, you start to see enough details that just give it, there's this really interesting contrast in the background scenes that I love. And Truth Crab absolutely leans into this style, leans into the visual style of the anime to create this really dreamy setting. To me, it feels like, okay, actually, I'm going to back up a second and just mention this. All of Truth Crab's videos, at least to the best of my knowledge, are named after the song that he uses. In a lot of cases, it doesn't really make sense with the theme of the video, or kind of the concept that he explores, or the story he explores within his videos. But in this case, this is one of those rare instances where I think the title actually works really, really well, because I get the feeling, the entire feeling that this video gives off to me is that the main character is kind of in the middle of this dream where everything is like half rendered, and it just has like, the details are sparse, but they're just enough to make it feel real. And it's a really cool effect, and the way TruthCrab leans into using these scenes is really something else. Most of the video, nothing really happens, right? And then you kind of get to the end, and there's this these 30 seconds or so, maybe a little longer, where there's this kind of unexpected violence that occurs that, to me, the first couple times I watched it, it did feel a little out of place. At the same time, have you ever spoken to someone, or maybe you've done this yourself, where you're trying to describe a dream you had to someone, and you're like, I was in my room, and then all of a sudden I was in my classroom at school, and like there's no point at which that transition, like there was a marked transition, like it just somehow made sense that you went from one place to some completely different place. Like the internal logic of your dream made it make sense somehow. That's kind of what I feel happens here. And maybe this is all just me trying to justify this kind of weird section that otherwise doesn't make sense. But I really do feel like TruthCrab does such a good job at building this mood of and this setting of this dream that it kind of makes sense within the video's own internal logic. And I don't know, I love that about it. I also really like how he uses match cuts throughout the AMV. So I don't know if I've used that term in past episodes of What Makes It Great, but a match cut is basically where you take two scenes that are compositionally similar or have the same motion, even if they are, different characters or different things are happening in them. There's kind of the same internal motion. And you hard cut between them. Often this is really effective in action videos, so you can preserve momentum from scene to scene while still switching a setting or switching to a different character or whatever to make some sort of sense. TruthCrab does this in this video, although not with motion. You may have noticed there were a lot of hard cuts between different scenes that went from like day to night, for example, or where there was just a slightly different composition, but like 90% similar. So he does a really good job of kind of building this internal, these motifs that make the entire thing just like really internally consistent. And that's all these things work together in this really interesting harmony that make the entire video just incredibly fascinating to me. I mean, I could go on, but I think those are kind of the main things that I really love about this video, and that keep me coming back to it. But the cool thing is that TruthCrab has tons of other videos that do the same kind of stuff, and he also has other videos that do a bunch of other different things. If you're interested in checking out more of his videos, you can head over to his channel. I'll provide a link in the description. He's only been editing since 2019, or at least he's only been uploading to his YouTube channel, I think, since 2019. But he has over 800 videos on his channel. And yes, that is not a mistake. He has over 800 videos somehow on his channel. One of the things I'm most curious about in my upcoming interview is asking him how he does that. But the thing is, they are all really high quality. Not all, but like I would say 80 to 90% of the videos of his that I've watched, I've thoroughly enjoyed. And you really can't go wrong with his stuff, in my opinion. So if this is your thing, I realize his videos, like this video is a little different. A lot of his videos tend to be a little on the, you have to either be patient or you have to be willing to really kind of soak yourself in a simpler, more basic style, editing style. But if that is your thing and you can do that, man, his stuff is just so good, and his channel is one of the best you can subscribe to on YouTube, just for the sheer amount of content, the sheer amount of good content you get out of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll tune in a week or so when I post the interview that I am going to have with Truth Crab. I think it'll be a great time. I think he'll have a lot of interesting insights, and I just think it'll be a fun discussion. And please check out his other work as well. All right, this was Dreamer by Truth Crab. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you in the next video.